100% entertainment, 100% electricity, 100%
Pipebomb Radio with your host, Felix Olmedo.
Be the man! You gotta beat the man!
Austin James.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
And Nate Milton.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday night. Time for some Pipebomb Radio, and we're here to have a good time. Got lots to talk about. Got a guest joining us here in just a moment, and not just any guest. As you guys seen that we posted on our Facebook page, he is the longest reigning NWA Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion, Jason the Gift Kincaid. Now, see that's a long title. Dude, that is a long title.
Let me tell you, no, we're not even done with that name in itself, because he's actually the technical wizard, Jason the Gift Kincaid. You gotta mention it all, because he is one of the best, and I will say this wholeheartedly because I believe it, one of the best professional wrestlers in the world today. No doubt about it. I mean, he proves it every single time he steps in a squared circle, and it's always the same, type of deal every single time, no matter who it is. I've never seen a bad match, but I don't expect that from him. I mean, never, because he's Jason Kincaid, and he's just all of his matches I've seen have been top notch. I mean, it's best of 7 with John Saxon when TCW was around, off the charts. I mean, against Chase Owens, who was a former guest of Pipebomb Radio, and I can go on, but I mean, truly one of the best wrestlers in the world today.
And without further ado, our guest of honor is patiently waiting, so let's go ahead and bring him on here. Are you ready? Let's do a good intro. What do you think? Let's do a good intro for this guy. He deserves it.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Right now, entering the Pipebomb Radio Network, for the first time ever, is the technical wizard, Jason the Gift Kincaid.
Greetings, grappling fans. What's up, guys?
How's it going?
It's going great. I'm glad to be here. How's it going with you?
Awesome.
Phenomenal.
We're doing great. We look forward to finding out a lot of good things about you. I heard a lot of good things about you. Definitely have a presence. I can definitely say you have a presence about you that is unlike many that I've seen, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting to know a little bit more about you.
Awesome.
That being said, let's kick it off. Let's find out a little bit more about you, how you got into being, how you became a fan of professional wrestling. I mean, obviously you've watched it when you were a kid, or maybe you started watching it as a teenager. Tell us, who were some of your heroes growing up?
I didn't have cable in my house growing up, so I actually didn't get into wrestling until probably just before my teen years. So I would say 10, 11 years old, something along those lines. And I was at my grandparents' house, and I just happened to be flipping through the channels, and just the spectacle of it all caught my eye. And I can't even tell you who I was watching at the time. I just remember that I believe it was the Quebecers were having a tag match, and the crowd was chanting USA, and I was all patriotic at the time. My dad was in Desert Storm, so I was all about USA, USA. And so that's like my first introduction into wrestling, and then after that I got really into it. And my favorites growing up were Sting, Ricky Steamboat, and then later on Raven.
Yeah, Raven's pretty cool.
And actually getting into your teen years, when did you decide, the moment where you're like, I need to take it a step further and actually really get into this?
Well, I always wanted to be a wrestler, really since the first time I was flipping through the channels and caught it on. But it wasn't until I read Mick Foley's book, Have a Nice Day, that I actually considered that it was a possibility. Because reading his journey, it really inspired me not only to be a professional wrestler, but it showed me how I could take the steps towards that dream.
And your story kind of reminds me of you saying that. Reminds me of Paul London, who actually, it wasn't wrestling on television that caught his eye. It was the stuff in the magazines. When he read it, that's how he got into the professional wrestling, interest in professional wrestling, and eventually actually, stepping foot in the ring.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And getting into the business, I mean, how did you connect? What was your connection into the wrestling business? How did you get involved and start training? Who were some people that worked with you on your training?
So I'm from the middle of nowhere in West Virginia, like way up in the mountains. And there's not a lot of places around here for you to become a professional wrestler. So I was searching on the internet for months and months, just looking for any place that I could go to train, because I was still 17 years old in high school when I was first looking around. So I was trying to find some place close enough that I could commute and still finish up high school. And I just happened to be driving through my hometown of Oak Hill, West Virginia one day, and I saw a sign for pro wrestling. So I went out to a local independent wrestling event, and I met up with a guy named Scotty McKeever, who ended up being the first person to break me into the wrestling business and start training me. And eventually through him, I met the Batten twins, who finished up my training.
Now, actually, stepping a foot back here for, you in high school, did you have any opportunities? Because I'd love to know about this, if you have any opportunities to wrestle amateur in high school.
I actually wrestled my last year in high school just because Scotty McKeever, my pro wrestling trainer, told me that it would be good for my pro wrestling career to have a background in amateur wrestling. So I really had no interest in it before that, but I did participate my final year, and it did help.
Okay. And did you, looking over some things that you have accomplished and people you've worked with, you mentioned the Batten twins. Also, it said that you were able to work a little bit or even speak with Angelo Poffo. Is there any truth to that? And if so, how did that come about?
No, the Batten twins were trained by Angelo Poffo, Randy Savage, and Lanny Poffo. But I never got to meet him personally. But I consider it an honor that training lineage was passed on to me.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Okay.
Now, actually, in your, training in professional wrestling, did it come naturally towards, for you and, personally and how you developed as a wrestler, or did it kind of have its leaps and bounds?
I think the basics and natural movements in the wrestling ring came natural to me. I'm a natural athlete, and I'm a pretty bright guy, so I caught on pretty quickly. But there is a big learning curve from those basic moves and all that to really learning how to be a star in professional wrestling, which I'm still trying to learn that to this day. So if anybody's got any pointers, let me know.
Okay. And how did you get connected to the, obviously it's NWA, but I mean the Smoky Mountain wrestling area? How did you get connected to that company to start working with them?
Where I live at in West Virginia, like I said, it's not a lot going on here, so a lot of wrestlers from my area would travel to East Tennessee, which is where NWA Smoky Mountain's located out of, to wrestle.
Gotcha.
And I just happened to kind of piggyback on the veteran wrestlers here that were already traveling down there originally. And shout out to Brian Logan for taking me on the road with him, because that's how I got my foot on the door down there.
No, actually, looking at your Instagram, I'm following Instagram, and for those that don't or haven't seen it, it's at Gift Kincaid, I believe, and you actually post pictures of you kind of in the nature backgrounds, and it seems you really thrive, on getting that organic type of exercise, from the woods and such. How is that? How you would kind of explain this? How is it? In the way you prepare for wrestling and train for wrestling, how does that help you? In being a part of the nature type of background.
Yeah, I think it helps me more than anything because it centers me mentally more than even physically. Just being out there and getting to quiet my mind and have all the nerves disappear, all the outside influences on my thought patterns disappear. But also just, elevation training and climbing up and down the mountains and balance training, doing headstands on the sides of cliffs. it's all applicable to professional wrestling. I have a very unorthodox style and a very unorthodox style of training as well.
And I think that the mountains and everything and all the obstacles that nature provides, it's you never know what to expect. I always say expect the unexpected, and with training like that, that's an understatement because you never know what's going to be next. Especially climbing a mountain in itself is something that not a lot of people can do. But I mean, it's for a training utility. It's definitely underutilized. I don't see a lot of guys doing it, but for the ones that do, they seem to benefit a lot from it.
Absolutely. I definitely have, like I said, more than anything, just been out there in nature, meditating, and, like you said, overcoming obstacles, because I know if I can take on a mountain, I can take on a mountain of a man.
And getting a chance to mix it up a little bit, it said you actually had the opportunity to work in Mexico a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And if so, would you ever consider working in Japan, kind of extending that and seeing what that atmosphere is like, or have you done that already, I should say?
Mexico was awesome. It's one of the best experiences of my life. Not just the wrestling part of it, but I really connected with the people in Mexico that I was around. There's a brotherhood and a family environment in Mexico that I'm not as used to in the United States. And it's not just wrestling, but it's like the people in general. So that more than anything was really cool for me to connect with. Plus the wrestling was awesome. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Lucha Libre as a style. So it's something I grew up watching and studying and hoped one day I could get down to Mexico. So that was really cool for me. But as of right now, I have not traveled to Japan. But I think this year could be my year. There are things in talks. Hopefully they come through. I'd love to get out to the land of the rising sun and beat up some Japanese wrestlers.
And it's one of those dream match situations. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to wrestle him. I know Jushin Liger came down for the NWA Invasion shows, a few years ago, and I don't think you had the opportunity to wrestle him. But I mean, that's a definite dream match. For me to you is saying, Jushin Liger versus Jason Kincaid would be something that nobody could want to miss.
Yeah, it's a dream match for me too. I had a Best of Owen Hart VHS tape as one of the first things that I bought when I started training as a professional wrestler. And there was one of the many matches Owen Hart and Jushin Liger had in Japan. I must have watched that so much that the tracking on the tape made it unwatchable at some point. So Liger is definitely one of the guys, the legends that I emulate and try to not copy their style, but get a little taste of their fighting spirit. Try to invoke that when I'm in the ring. He's one of those guys. So
and you
I would
mentioned that
definitely
word,
love to get a shot at Jushin Liger.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
And you mentioned those two words, fighting spirit. I remember a couple of years ago you had a series of matches with a guy who I respect so much, John Saxon, and it was some of the best matches, undoubtedly, that I've ever had the opportunity to feast my eyes on. It was really great stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to John Saxon. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever faced in the ring. And you talk about fighting spirit. I was just fighting for my life in those matches. That's one tough SOB right there. So,
I believe it.
Anytime anybody gets a chance to see John Saxon in action, I would definitely recommend it. And, if I don't ever have to wrestle him again, my body will probably enjoy that.
Yeah, every time I talk to him, he mentions always, he's like, go back and watch those matches against Jason Kincaid. And I'm like, yeah, I've watched them numerous times because it was so good. Just those, oh my gosh, I can't even explain. If anybody listening hasn't had the opportunity to watch those matches, I believe all of them are on YouTube. Type in TCW Traditional Championship Wrestling, and or Jason Kincaid versus John Saxon, and you'll be able to find it. And that is, the match is feast your eyes on something that you've never seen before. Seriously, so good, so good.
Yeah, I'm the technical wizard, but John Saxon's one of the best technical wrestlers I've been in the ring with. Everything he does is essentially perfect.
I wanted to ask, you have such a unique look about you that I wanted to ask, if you were told, okay, you know what, we're going to put a manager with you. You have to choose. You can choose from anybody, anytime, any time frame to work with and be with you. Who would you decide to work with, and why?
I would probably say Gary Hart.
Ooh, good choice.
Because he's kind of got that darkness to him that I also have. And if not Gary Hart, then Kevin Sullivan, I would say.
The Taskmaster, yes, I know. That's a good one. That's another good one.
What about
James I just like
Mitchell?
those guys with some mystery and a little bit of evil to them. What was that?
Yeah, they did.
Oh yeah, I was saying maybe. What about you ever thought about James Mitchell? I think the Sinister Minister might really be an awesome sidekick to Jason Kincaid.
Oh yeah,
he's another
definitely.
evil one too.
For sure. And he managed a couple of my buddies, and Wolfie D and Brian Lee. So
Wolfie, yeah, we've had him on the show before.
There.
He's awesome.
For sure.
And so you wrestled so many people in the time you've been in the professional wrestling. What do if you had one guy at least that you would say pulled so much out of you and that you would even call him one of your best opponents? Who do you think that guy would be?
I would say Chase Owens.
Absolutely, totally.
I mean, there's a couple guys, John Saxon, of course, also Eric Darkstorm from West Virginia. But my feud and my matches with Chase Owens have spanned so many years at this point. We've been wrestling each other for 4 years. We've wrestled each other in different countries, in different states. So, and every time that I wrestle Chase, I'm wrestling a newer, better Chase. And one of the things about me that I pride myself on is I really think that I could be the most improved wrestler of the year every year, because that's how much I'm striving to try to perfect my craft. And I feel like Chase is the same type of guy. They say that diamonds are the only thing that can sharpen diamonds, and Chase is another diamond.
That's a good analogy there.
Crown jewel.
And, I got to ask you, I'm curious, with the look, I noticed that you have your signature mouthpiece there, and your whole new look. I mean, the look, the name, the gift. How did you come up with the look? Is it something that you decided this is how I'm going to go? This is what I'm going to go with. How did that whole look come together for you? It's definitely unique. I'm definitely just thinking, this is one of the most unique characters I've seen so far.
I'm trying to invoke the warrior spirit of my pagan ancestors.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a firm believer in archetypes and dressing the part that you want to play in life. So to me, I want to be a warrior. I want to have that fighting spirit of my ancestors that conquered Northern Europe. And I want to bring that to the ring.
Now, actually, going forward in the future, where do you see yourself? I mean, wanting to be in the fact that maybe there are some people in the future that you haven't had the opportunity to wrestle. Who do you think, if you can name, at least 3 guys that you would want to have the opportunity to step in a squared circle with? Who would those 3 guys be?
I would definitely love to wrestle Jushin Liger. He's been around for so long, and who knows how long of a career he could have, so it's somebody that I definitely want to get in before he finally hangs up the boots for good. I'd really like to get in the ring with Low-Key. I feel like our styles would mesh well, and we could have some really hard-fought battles. And really, I'd love to wrestle Cesaro. To me, I think he's the best in-ring wrestler in the world today, as far as technical skills and abilities go.
Cannot disagree.
Yeah, of course.
And mentioning the fact, I mean, the people we've wrestled ultimately made you, you know, gave you opportunity to become the longest reigning NWA Smoky Mountain champion of all time. And I
gotta say it right, man. Longest reigning Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion. Gotta say it right, man. I don't even know if I said it right.
I think I said it right, Felix. But I mean, you know,
just making sure.
You wrestled so many people actually, you know, until you became the Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion. How did you prepare yourself, you know, before matches, in getting that, like you said, that warrior spirit that comes out of you that eventually goes into everything that you do, you know, which now makes you, you know, eventually made you the longest reigning, like I said, NWA Smoky Mountain champion of all time?
It's actually a process of calming myself down before I go out there than psyching myself up in a way, because I'm a naturally pretty intense individual. Like, I kind of put people off in my everyday life. I've got crazy eyes, I guess you could say, and it's that burning intensity inside of me. So, like, leading up to the matches, I have so much nervous energy, so much pent-up aggression. Right before I go out to wrestle, I usually meditate to try to bring myself back to the center so I can be focused in the ring and not firing too quickly and make a mistake.
Okay. And I got to ask, my final question would be, you know, the name I came across the name you gave your finisher, just the kind of names that you've come up with your moves. I think it's just pretty awesome. Do you give much thought into coming up with these names? Do you sit down and just kind of come up with the most unique names that you can think of? I mean, your finisher, I believe it's referred to, correct me if I'm wrong, Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes, that's correct. And how I
How'd you come up with that
names
name?
for moves, that's actually a book about two kids who survived the atomic bomb in Japan. So it's a really sad story. But I also just thought it was a cool name.
Yeah.
But I'm a crazy person. So if you go through my phone, you can find thousands and thousands of things that I've written down that could be names of moves or ideas that I want to try. Names of tag teams, even though I don't tag with anybody. I've got just note after note in my phone of wrestling-related stuff.
Okay. And you actually mentioned tag teams. Actually, a question I want to ask you: if you had a tag team that you were, you know, officially, you know, on the road with and really made it, you know, a staple within the professional wrestling scene, who would be that guy that you want to, you know, partner up with?
That's a tough one. I would say I know a lot of people would say Matt Cross because we both have awesome beards.
Absolutely.
But he's a little bit more athletic than I am, so I can't let him show me up like that. I would say Jimmy Jacobs probably.
Yeah, because I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Because we're both very different in very different ways. And I think it would be cool chemistry.
Now, you know, my final question for me, I want to mention, you know, the current product of, you know, like WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. Do you actually keep up with all that, or do you kind of keep to yourself?
You know what? I try to pay attention to what everybody's talking about. I don't follow anything regularly, and it's not because I'm not interested or I think I'm too cool or anything like that. But it's because I don't want to be overly influenced by it. Because I want to keep my own style, my own unique approach to wrestling. I don't want to start copying what other people are doing because I see it work. But I pay enough attention that I don't lose track of where the business, the sport is at this time. So if everybody's talking about the Young Bucks, I'm going to watch the Young Bucks. You know, if everybody's talking about what Bray Wyatt's doing on WWE, I'm going to watch Bray Wyatt. But I'm not going to watch so much that I start to absorb it like I would naturally. Like, you know, just like anything else, wrestling moves, wrestling styles, they can kind of get stuck in your head like a song and play over and over again until you start humming them. And that might be what happens to me in the ring. I don't want to be that guy.
And, you know, you actually remind me of a guy, a legend who's been on the show, I mean, so many times in the past, Black Jack Mulligan, WWE Hall of Famer. Everything he did, you know, in his career was, they always had a greater reason for why he did that, whatever, you know, in the ring. And that reminds me of you because, you know, everything that you do seems to have a, you know, greater reason for why you're doing it. And
there's
I want to thank you so much.
Between genius and insanity, and I'm not sure that I'm skirting it correctly.
You know, it's interesting. It's such an interesting guy to talk to, and we definitely have to bring you back. I mean, sometime down the line, you know, in the year 2015, we gotta have a part 2, without a doubt.
And before we let you go, I gotta ask. Where can the fans keep up with you? I mean, do you have a website? I know you got social media. If they can find out where they can keep up with what you're up to these days and your next matches and so forth, where's the best way to find you?
Yeah, I mostly just use social media. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Jason the Gift Kincaid. It's my fan page. On Twitter and Instagram, it's @GiftKincaid. I'll post my updates and all my dates. And please try to come out and see a live event. There's nothing like independent professional wrestling live.
That's true. Just ask Austin.
Yeah, I actually seen you. I remember, where is it? It had to be earlier last year, maybe at the beginning of the year. You came down to Houma, Louisiana for NWA Elite Championship Wrestling, and I remember you. And because I remember when they announced that you were there. I mean, I absolutely had to be a part of watching Jason Kincaid do his thing in the ring. And you truly are one of the best wrestlers in the world today, and I will not, and wholeheartedly I believe that and I see that, and every single time I watch you, I truly, I respect you so much, and that's an understatement. I just really want to thank you so much for, inspiring so many people to go out there and, put their best out. Especially with, I think, it takes a certain type of person to bring out the best of another guy, and you don't get that too often.
Hey man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I just want to tell the fans to keep supporting independent professional wrestling. And also, you can catch me at this year's ECWA Super 8 tournament in Woodbury, New Jersey, a tournament that a lot of big independent stars have made their names in. And you might just see me and a few of the other guys make our names in this tournament this year.
Okay. Sounds good. Make sure you check out ECWA Wrestling. And make sure you follow up on Jason's progress and what he's doing on all his social media. Mr. Kincaid, we thank you so much for taking time to chat with us tonight and telling us a little bit more about who you are, the person you are, the character, where you've been, where you're going. And we look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
No problem. And thanks for listening to the most heart-stopping, jaw-dropping, eye-popping, high-flying, death-defying, awe-inspiring wrestling podcast in the world today, Pipebomb Radio.
Oh, that was awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, I didn't see that coming.
No, you know
what's
what's funny?
cool.
There's so many guys that come on and they never do that, and that's awesome. We're definitely going to play that. going forward. That's the only part of the show, weekly. It has to be this that role was awesome. Jason Kincaid, one and only.
There you go. He's got such a unique look, and I didn't want to come off and say it, and I was going to say, you know what? He could definitely. Is it bad that when I seen him, I thought of Luke Harper, not Luke Harper, Rowan. That he was like
I don't know. I mean,
they could. He's got such a unique look. He could be a part of that group. I really do think so, and he's got the evil mind for it and everything. I don't mean it to be sarcastic. I mean it dead serious.
No, I think it's definitely if you had a rivalry, Bray Wyatt versus Jason Kincaid would be something to see, wouldn't it?
Well,
I mean, those two are just I don't know. I see a lot of comparisons between different things at the same time, and they're absolutely different because Jason Kincaid is one of a kind. And on the fact that mentioning comparisons right now, next week's guest on the Pipebomb Radio has a lot of comparisons. Well, Bray Wyatt has a lot of comparisons to this guy. Some say that he's definitely different, but next week's episode of Pipebomb Radio will be featuring Dan Spivey.
Dangerous Danny Spivey, or otherwise known as Waylon Mercy. Live.
Yes.
Know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I love those promos he did, leading up to his actual debut. He always ended up, with that and being that kind of swap settings. But people compare him. Well, people compare Bray Wyatt, to Waylon Mercy. And I mean, I just
don't think that the WWE universe were ready for a character like that at that time. I don't.
No. I think I absolutely agree because I think as time moves on, people. I think it has to be a certain time frame for different things to work. Various like John Cena being the rapper guy wouldn't have worked in the 80s. I don't think. Maybe it would have. I don't know.
The thing with Waylon Mercy is that he was based off of a character from the movie Cape Fear, and that movie had just come out maybe a couple years before. And although the movie intrigued and people loved it, and the character it was just still during that cartoonish era that there were just these larger than life cartoon character types. It just didn't work. Now you add a little bit more of a darker side to it, grow the beard out, wear the Hawaiian shirts that they were wearing, and now it works.
And, what's funny about his name? His name's Waylon Mercy, and he was anything but merciful. And, he's walking to the ring. Has a Bray Wyatt, really peaceful. I don't think he had a line. He didn't have a line in his family. He was walking down the ring, but both really peaceful guys walking down the ring. You didn't think they can hurt a fly. But when they were in the ring, they were, they turned it up to 10 every time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, like he said, Waylon Mercy didn't, at the time, it wasn't something that that worked. I think if it would have been many, many years later, maybe. But I think, I don't know, Bray Wyatt's doing a pretty damn good job at this, this character. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And Blackjack Mulligan, who's actually been on the show many times, I love him to death. Who's actually Bray Wyatt's grandfather.
I couldn't tell that, Austin. I couldn't tell.
Oh, well, I don't mention it to you, right? Never mention it to you ever. It's not like I want to have a part 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's something that's going to happen. It's
for all we know, you probably have that book sometime by WrestleMania season.
Probably so, right? But Blackjack Mulligan said that he loved me, right, Felix? He said it live, and I'll take that to the grave. Walking around with my T-shirt, Blackjack Mulligan loving me. Who can say that? I don't know. He didn't look like in his career, he didn't look like he loved many people at all. But when the way he treated them, right?
True.
With an exception of a few guys, him and Andre the Giant were really best of friends. But like I was saying, Bray Wyatt, the grandfather. Blackjack Mulligan, the grandfather of Bray Wyatt, was talking about him and really taught him how to bring more than what he thought to be possible out of Bray Wyatt, out of making up stories like Abigail might not be the realest thing in the world, but to him it's something that creates a story and something that people can relate to because he'll make it where you can relate to this, this girl. We never seen her before. We're assuming that she's passed away, but you've seen that with that story of Abigail, he connected that to his chair. They brought out to the ring. Each time they came out to the ring, there was Abigail's chair, and one, I believe, who destroyed it. I think it was was it one of the Wyatt family members that ultimately destroyed it? I can't remember.
The chair?
A couple months back. Yeah, the chair, because I remember one of the guys was it?
I thought it was Dean Ambrose that destroyed it.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose destroyed it before TLC, and when that happened, you see how much it crushed Bray Wyatt, because in his heart of hearts, I bet he, believes, Abigail, Sister Abigail was a, big part of his life, and it definitely was. I know it. I mean, you see it in his face, and just the way Bray Wyatt is, it's going to be interesting to see what Waylon Mercury, Dan Spivey thinks about him.
Well, just a few updates as were posted on the Facebook page. What was I going to say? Just lost my train of thought here for a second. The Von Erichs are returning to TNA Wrestling. What do you think about that? I thought it was pretty cool.
Seeing that announcement from Dixie, I thought it was awesome, because they haven't been in a TNA ring since this past year, 2014, the same anniversary, when Kevin Von Erich made that moment that people remember for more than a lot of things that happened in 2014 in TNA Wrestling, when he came out and did the infamous, claw move and destroyed Zema Ion and the Bromans. Nobody expected it. I didn't expect him to jump over the guardrails and help his sons out, but they're going to be at the Universal Studios later this month at for the next Impact Wrestling tapings. They just finished up Impact Wrestling at in the UK, and I'm loving the shows. Destination America, I think, was probably the best move they can make, and I see it even getting better and better as time goes on, and it should. It definitely should, because in this spot, unlike Spike TV, I don't think that Spike TV eventually, at the time, I think they wanted TNA Wrestling, professional wrestling on their network, but I don't think that they were too much into it going into the end of 2014.
Well, Spike,
that's why they slammed it down.
Spike didn't really support too many wrestling shows. I mean, back when it was TNN, they didn't support WWE all that much, and WWE ended up leaving. When TNA came aboard, it was something different. They tried to push it for a little bit and didn't go nowhere, and ultimately they kind of let it deflate, I guess, whatever issues. But no, it's a good move. I can definitely see Ross and Marshall taking it to the next level in tag team wrestling and eventually into singles wrestling, and I could see Kevin as a backstage agent or even a manager. I don't know how he feels about it. If his body's up for doing a lot of traveling or not, I couldn't say. But I mean, it's great to see them back. I definitely think that it's a long time coming. They need to be back on television again, and they will be. And that's not all, actually. Austin, the most recent news, obviously, from the Kickstarter from Nigel McGuinness. Give us a little update on that. How did that go?
Well, ultimately, after the month, LA Fights, we didn't make I feel like I'm a part of it. I really do. And me and Nigel have been working hand in hand, really pushing this project because it's something that I've never, and I say this, I said on social media every single week leading up to this, that with 100% assurance, I've never seen or read anything like what he has planned. And if anybody's ever seen Nigel McGuinness' documentary on the last McGuinness is his final year in professional wrestling before ultimately retiring from the squared circle, LA Fights is something that that is so unique, and it's actually still going to be eventually funded into making it something that is actual reality. And once it is, it's going to blow the minds of everybody that's watching, because there are a lot of supporters. I mean, they raised $74,000. But keep in mind, this isn't a small sum. The original goal was over $300,000. It's a lot of money, and it wasn't funded in the time that Kickstarter had up there. But eventually, in time, going in the future, it will be, and I have no doubts about it. And when it is, like I said, it's going to be something that nobody's ever expected or seen before. Unlike, it's going to change. It's going to change everything. And Nigel actually released a press release, and I put it up on Pipebomb Radio's Facebook page and over on the Twitter.
Well, I don't
machine.
expect you to read it, but I mean, it's there for the
well,
reading.
I'm not gonna. That's what I'm saying. People can go check it out if they want. But it basically says that we're not stopping here. This is not the end. It's going forward. LA Fights is going to come to fruition. Sometime down the line.
Well, there you go. And now we move to last night's Raw, and of course the podcast heard around the world. Honestly, there were some matches that stood out to me as definitely match of the night. I would have to go maybe even a two-way tie in saying that the Bray Wyatt Dolph Ziggler match, holy moly,
mm-hmm.
That was awesome. And then the Seth Rollins match with I believe it was with Daniel Bryan, right? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank again.
Seth Rollins,
but it was a great match.
The undisputed future of the WWE. Yeah. What you expect? You didn't expect for them to have a good match, huh?
I was just saying he had a good match. I didn't say nothing else about him.
When Seth Rollins is in a ring in a squared circle, without a doubt, you can expect to see one hell of a match because he's the best at what he does. So was Daniel Bryan,
that's why he was laid out on his back after Daniel Bryan took his butt out.
I didn't see that, but I mean, I guess you have tunnel vision.
What did you see?
I seen Seth Rollins being the man. I think
he lost the match. He's not going to face Roman. He's not going to WrestleMania to main event.
You know why? You want to know why?
The undisputed got laid out.
Cheated once again. Sting was a few
Sting was not there
last month. What happened?
Go ahead. You're making your point.
No, I'm telling you.
Sting was not there. Just make your point.
Sting, the vigilante, what they call him now, screwed Seth Rollins in winning. Roman Reigns had a plot, and Superman punched him, which ultimately gave Daniel Bryan the win. No, how is that good? That's cheating, and I don't endorse cheating.
Why? Because Seth Rollins should not have stuck his nose into the match to begin with. His match that Roman Reigns had with Big Show, he should have stayed out of it. This whole issue with the Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins should have just stuck his nose out of it instead of putting his big nose in it with the other big nose that was at the damn Super Bowl this weekend that seemed to like to take pictures every few minutes. I was getting sick to death of that. I was almost puking my guts out having to see pictures of him and Stephanie constantly taking pictures at the damn Super Bowl. Who cares?
I cannot believe you said that.
What's so surprising?
But they won, and you know why they won? Because the Authority was behind their back, cheering them on, and I gotta tell you that
did you pay out the other football team to lose?
Huh?
Did they pay off the other football team to lose?
I'm not saying anything, but the Authority has their ways, and it's something that you gotta move on with. The Authority never cheats. You never see them cheat. You never see them get involved in something that they're not supposed to. It's always down the line when you got Triple H.
I don't know what kind of vision you have, all distorted and stuff. I don't know what you be seeing because I don't see that. I don't see that. I see Triple H trying to mount the odds, and then Stephanie trying to be all bossy. That girl needs to be brought down a peg, and I think that I need to see somebody get in the ring with her and whoop her butt.
No, she doesn't deserve that. She has nice nails.
She deserves that 10 times more. She needs to get put over somebody's knee and give a spanking. Like Steve Austin, or not Steve Austin, like Jericho gave her. No, Jericho didn't do that. Who was it that got it?
Shut your mouth.
Jericho and Steve embarrassed the hell out of her during the Attitude Era. Those are some good times.
Well, guess who's on top of it right now? Guess who never left? Stephanie McMahon, on top of the world. Where she
was going to ever leave at this point.
She's the queen of WWE, and I got to tell you.
Or as somebody once referred to her as, an idiotic daughter and doofus son-in-law.
What do you mean? I have no clue what you're saying.
Somebody once referred to the Authority as the idiotic daughter and the doofus son-in-law she's married to.
And guys, when I come on here, I don't just say all this stuff just to say it. I truly feel this way. And Felix comes on being disrespectful Californian that he is. Like in oranges and everything, and being by the sea all the time. I think he's had a little more sun than he should have. And I think it's getting to his head because for him to come on and say stuff about Stephanie McMahon like that and calling Triple H a doofus, man, turn around on you, look in the mirror and say that. Because Triple H, the Authority, all have it in their hands. The world is in their hands, the Authority is in their hands, and that's why they keep on winning. And at WrestleMania...
Yeah, and that's why Sting's going to take down the Authority, not only at Fastlane, but at WrestleMania. And, yeah, Triple H will be looking at the ceiling at WrestleMania in Santa Clara. And no, there's not even a ceiling. You're looking at the sky and the blue in the blue sky and the nice clouds and the birds flying. He'll be seeing birds, too, after he gets knocked the hell out by Sting. You know what's going to happen. They're going to have a match, and you know that's going to end up being the outcome. Triple H will be laid out on his back where he needs to be.
No, he won't. You know why? Because J&J Security is going to be around the corner. Those
two little stooges, please. Sting will just give them a look, and those two will go running.
I don't think so. J&J Security is the best security team in all of the world.
Since Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, right?
No. Let me tell you something. The APA has nothing on J&J Security.
Oh, please. Who are you kidding? Man, you must be smoking them funny cigarettes, son, because I don't know where that came from.
Next question. Do you want me to lie to you? I don't lie.
Are you kidding me?
I tell you how it is. If I telling you this, I believe it. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Allied Protection Agency. JBL.
I have to scoff. I'm scoffing.
Are you kidding me?
I'm done.
You know, I've been in this thing for like 3 years with you, and I've never heard so much, disrespect for, guys like, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, J&J Security, the Big Show.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing is Nate needs to be here joining me in this fun, because it's fun.
Can't believe you. I honestly.
But we should have Nate back with us next week, guys. We should have Nate with us. He'll return. He's been a busy man. He's got so many things on his tray now, but he'll be back. He will be back for the Danny Spivey interview and on into the future.
Well, I don't know who Nate was going for.
As far as Austin goes, he just needs to go away.
More like, both of you guys, because I'm here telling the truth, and y'all just, spreading lies.
In what language? I don't know what language you speak when you talk about all this hullabaloo about what the Authority and how good they are, and how you said you took pictures with them because they were at the Super Bowl with them.
To say it.
Whatever, it's all a bunch of hullabaloo.
It's a fact. I don't say things just to say it. Like
fact according to who?
Kid says, it's a fact. All right?
According to who?
And let me tell you, Tyson, if you're just wondering how he's doing, his cats are doing fine. And, I got to tell you, he raises them well. And, just like any member of the Hart family, awesome cat trainers they have in their blood. And, Tyson Kidd, he, took that from Natalia. And just being the awesome guy he is. And him and Cesaro having their tag team, it's going to skyrocket to being one of the best in the world.
I do like that tag team. Both superstars are very, very underrated for the fact that I don't know if WWE feel like maybe they can't give them something to do, or I don't know what it is, but putting them both together, I like it. It's different. It could lead to something good. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to say anything just yet because I don't know exactly what the future holds for them.
This is what I say. I say if the tag team titles when you put in the line, remember the tag team titles are held by Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, who I love as a tag team. One of the best tag teams truly in the world today. They're awesome what they do. And but Wojay's tag team, they're brothers. And but I think if any match they would have WrestleMania to put for the tag team titles, it should be Jimmy and Jay versus Tyson Kidd and Antonio Cesaro. But as remember, Antonio Cesaro won the 30-man Battle Royale for the Andre the Giant, Battle Royale WrestleMania 30 last year in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that 30-man Battle Royale, winning that trophy did for him, but I think it earned him, a title shot, a tag team title shot, and Tyson Kidd and Cesaro deserve to get that title shot at WrestleMania.
Well, if you heard the Vince McMahon podcast, Vince he doesn't have much faith in Cesaro. It's a different look. He feels like maybe he's too bland. If you don't believe me, watch the damn podcast again. He mentions Cesaro. He likes him, but he doesn't see him as a marketable guy that could be the top guy, so to speak.
I don't know about that.
I think many people feel that Vince is out of touch with who can go over. He still has a lot
to do in WWE.
No, of course. I'm not saying this is something that's going to happen overnight, but I still feel he's underrated.
Switching gears, so looking at another tag team, as of last night and kind of over the past week, just little by little, Stardust and Goldust are kind of separating, and you kind of seen that when Goldust took a moment when they're backstage and referred to Stardust as Cody Rhodes. And Stardust is not Cody Rhodes. I don't see the difference. And, I don't understand how he felt that. But, Stardust is Stardust. And if I was, in that
Brothers versus Brothers going to happen at WrestleMania. It's finally going to happen. Going to see the legendary Goldust battle his little brother, Stardust. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I think it'll be a great match. Those two are just so over-the-top characters. Of course, nowhere near the top of where Goldust used to be back in the 90s. Is kind of pushing the level as far as he did back then. But definitely two over-the-top characters who got, are going to bring in a great match. I look forward to it.
Well,
I look forward to it.
I say everything
seeing where they can take it.
Goldust evolved. You can see now, Stardust, I don't have no clue what the hell was in Dusty Rhodes. But, he produces some weird kids.
Well, let's not say much now either because Mike Rotundo, IRS, can say the same thing. He raised some weird kids. Weird kids, and I'm talking about Mr. Bo Lever himself, too.
What do you mean that? Bo Dallas is one of the nicest guys you can speak to. Come on, Felix. I honestly expect more from you. Bo Dallas is a former NXT champion. I can go on and on. Most positive guy I've ever been around in my life.
Whatever. And then we woke up and reality sunk in, and we realized, where is he now?
He's training, all right? He had to step back because he wanted to go on a mission, and he went to Bulgaria.
You wanted to be a man on a mission? We already got men on a mission.
I didn't say men on a mission. You know what I'm saying? And he went to Bulgaria and taught the kids how to be more.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not kidding you.
You are delusional, son. I don't know where that came from, but okay.
I'm telling you the story, and you're not even letting me tell you. He went to Bulgaria
then say it.
and taught the kids. I'm trying to tell you. Taught the kids how to be, the better person. The most positive guy in the world today is Bo Dallas, and he's going to come back, and he's going to spring off of that, the positivity that those kids are feeding him, because he's an awesome guy. Make-A-Wish, all those kids ask for Bo Dallas, and he's quickly rising as being the number one guy to have the most wishes, and it's amazing to me that he gets that opportunity to showcase all of what he has in his spirit, in his mind, his soul. It's so beautiful.
Okay, moving on. The podcast Steve Austin did with Triple H. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it?
Really, 100.
I asked that because obviously there was a big comparison between the two with Vince and Hunter, and the fact that Steve left nothing untouched. He talked about everything that under the blue moon and stars and whatever, and even mentioned. I like that that was brought up. I applaud Steve for bringing up China. China has been an issue people have been asking about for years and years and years and years and years, and they never address it. They never have. And finally, it has been addressed. And China is aware of it because I remember talking to her about it last night. But, yes, it was mentioned, does China deserve the Hall of Fame? Well, I have an opinion about that, and I know Austin does too. Here's the thing. Does she deserve it? Without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm putting my friendship aside because I'm being, as a wrestling fan, seeing what she's done and what no other woman was able to do but her. She deserves it. Now, we are all human, and we make mistakes in our lives. Should we be condemned to damnation because of it? Well, it depends on the mistakes. She made a lot of mistakes. She went down a very dark path, dealt with a lot of demons in her life, overcame them, moved to Japan, started over again, and really made something of herself. Now, true, it's not in the spotlight making millions and millions of dollars, but she picked up and started over. Not many people would have the strength to do that. Most would, the kind of life she led, she probably would have ended up dead.
Well, you know what?
Now,
one thing
it is beyond. I'll let you give you.
Wait, cool. Yeah, no problem.
no, I'm sorry. I'm just not a fan. But to put matters aside, does she deserve the Hall of Fame? They addressed it. Hunter said, yes, she deserves it. Will it happen? He never said it wouldn't happen, and he never said when it would happen. The only thing I really believe, truthfully, is that I do believe there's no beef between Hunter and China. I think the beef is between Stephanie and China, honestly. And that's why I believe she's been prevented from the Hall of Fame. I could give a damn about her porn past. Because, like I said, Sean was in there doing it with her. So,
you know what I say?
China
is definitely a good friend. We talked quite some time, about yoga and just some of the craziest things with nutrition. Nutrition people are crazy anyway. And we all admit it, talking about, who has the conversations about, oh, well, I like, strawberries and this combination of blah, 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 food and smoothies. And, seriously, we have all these conversations, but, China, unlike a lot of people, actually admits to all she's done. And I think the thing is, why hold something why hold it against her? I think in order to know what somebody was going through at a particular time, you got to be put in their shoes, and you can't do that. You can't put yourself in another guy's shoes. You can visualize what it might be like, but you'll never know what what she really went through. And China went through so much in her life. She's conquered so much, but she's came out and she's the person she wouldn't be the person she is today without all the experience she's had in the past, positive or negative, wherever it may be. She wouldn't be the woman she is today without that. And she is one of the most woman empowered girls in the world today that I know of that really publicly express their feelings towards anything and everything. And she lays it all on the line. And her opinion is that's her opinion, and she has a lot of opinions about various things. But I think the Hall of Fame that was made for China. At least what, and you can say a lot of different things for Andre the Giant, of course. But I mean, in terms of what she did for professional wrestling and sports entertainment, she needs to be there. But, it wouldn't make any sense to have a Hall of Fame if you don't have China. I mean, for what she did,
whether you put her in with
nobody's
the
ever done ever. And had the opportunity to do this, but what she has done in the past, nobody's done in the future. Nobody's done now and haven't done.
No.
I don't think anybody can do.
Nor will they allow her to do. She wrestled with men and whooped their butts.
I know. With DX, that's a story in itself. And those who've seen, what she was a part of with, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, in that time, the Attitude Era, that's changed the way professional wrestling was looked at and made sports entertainment what it is today.
Agreed. I mean, if you think about it, look at some of the people that were already inducted. There are some people that don't deserve that induction that are in there. We're not going to mention any names because we've obviously vented about some of those issues as well. But the fact that she's not in there, very funny. The fact that she's not in there already is a travesty that I hope that will become relevant and be fixed. I know from speaking with her, and she's even stated it on her YouTube videos, if the WWE ever decided to reach out to her or finally answer any of her messages, she would gladly come back and accept a Hall of Fame induction or even one final match. She gladly, because that to her was some of the greatest times in her life. All things aside, she has, no grudges against anybody. She's not the same person she was. And I mean that wholeheartedly. And if you follow her YouTube channel, Tokyo China, you'll see she's still the same. She's at peace. Let's just leave it at that. And we'll move on. Other topics that Steve talked about were CM Punk as well. What do you think about that? I mean, honestly, I think Triple H he was treading very lightly on a lot of topics, and rightfully so. There's a way to approach it, and there's a way to handle it. And sometimes you can't come out and say exactly how you feel, which is obviously the issue with China and Punk. You can't really say too much. You delve too much information, and all of a sudden you're Satan. You're the spawn of Satan, and you're going to go to hell because you just don't like this person, and blah 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 blah. And fans today are just fickle. They don't know what they want. They think they do, and they think they can tell you what should be done. What makes you the judge? What makes you the person that would know better? That's all I'm saying.
You're actually mentioning that fact that you're saying, like, right there. It's the same thing that Roman Reigns is going through right now. Because, you know what's funny about it all? I say Philadelphia is unlike any place in the world, because you can be hated in Philadelphia. We've seen that in the past. But you go to another town, like last time on Raw, people are cheering Roman Reigns. They were cheering, you know, when he walks in, you know, in his music hit, you know, people are cheering Roman Reigns. And I actually seen, when they had a conversation, they were mentioning Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Roman actually kind of got a little bit better reception than Daniel Bryan did. And that, it's so confusing because, I mean, I think wherever it may be, I mean, in terms of situations that these guys are put in, they might be like your dislike on that particular night, but on different, you know, terms, in a different place, in a different area. Like Triple H is saying, the house shows, people are cheering them. You know, that's all you can hear is the cheers for Roman Reigns. And I think that, I mean, I don't know, I think it's kind of controversial. He's going to go down as the man who won the 2015 Royal Rumble, but with everything that happened, I mean, there's so much controversy in that Royal Rumble match from a few weeks past. But I think what they're doing now, their home for situation was last time on Raw they decided that Roman Reigns, he's going to go to Fastlane, but the match between Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins set up who's going to be. It's basically a number one contenders match for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And now, you know, obviously Daniel Bryan won after he was cheated. They cheated to, you know, Seth Rollins was going to win, but I mean, Daniel Bryan, you know, had to take advantage of, you know, Roman Reigns helping him out there, and is going, which is weird to me because why would Roman help a person that, you know, is going to be facing in just a few weeks? But now Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, whoever wins that match goes to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. And I don't know who that's going to be, but if you hear so many different things, oh, it's going to be Ziggler versus Bryan WrestleMania, I'm like, well, plans change. I don't know if it's going to be changing for this one. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to play out within the next weeks because, like I always say, expect the unexpected.
And on one other final note here, too, former guest of Pipebomb Radio, Jesse Neal, will be on the Broken Skull Challenge this Sunday night. Definitely check it out. It's on the CMT channel. Thought I should bring that up, too, because I keep up with that show. I get a kick out of it. It's definitely a hell of an obstacle course that I don't know, not just anybody can do it.
Well, you know, I can do that. Easy. Whatevs, you know. Like my good friend Seth Rollins does when people try to spite him, and he's getting spited quite often in the past months. But, I mean, you know, something like Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull, you know, Challenge, I can do that easy. Come on, you know. And just it's one of those things. It's like when you're part of the authority and, you know, supporting the authority, it's one of those things you can do anything you set your mind to. Why can't we? I mean, J&J Security, they're going to be on the show, you know, in due time. They're going to win. It's one of those things, Felix.
Yeah, you can do anything as long as you have mommy and daddy in your pocket.
What do you mean? You keep on saying that. I'm starting to, you know, a little. I don't say this. I don't say you mean curse words, but I'm starting to get a little bit pissed off. You know.
Good, because you know it, I know it, everybody else knows it. The only way Seth Rollins has been getting anywhere is because obviously he's the one that these guys want to see and will make happen for him. They will make everything happen for him, and he'll go out there and have a match. He has good matches. He's a great wrestler, nothing against him. But when he has the authority in his pocket, he's never going to lose. Hello?
I want to see what
come on now.
Seth Rollins is his attire. He doesn't have any pockets, you know, with the attire he wears. But I don't see where you're getting that from. But one thing that I think a lot of people don't see, but it's in plain sight, he makes it known. Seth Rollins is Mr. Money in the Bank, and when you're Mr. Money in the Bank, you can hide in the shadows until it's time to feast on the prey. And you never know when lightning's going to strike. Never know.
Yeah. I believe that. That is true. And until then,
I know it's true.
We'll just have to continue listening to him tell us how good he thinks he is. So, anyways.
What do you mean? Hold on. Actually, by the way, you mentioned former guest on Pipebomb Radio, Jesse Neal, going to be in Broken Skull Challenge. Former guest on Pipebomb Radio, Mike Dell, who's actually, you know, had some time and helping Dean Ambrose out in his problems in the past. He was on Broken Skull Challenge as well, and he did pretty damn well.
Please. Nothing against Mike Dell. He was freaking hilarious on there. But Dean, you know what? He didn't help Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose helped him. Overall, it was a good segment. I couldn't stop laughing. Kudos to Mike Dell. Kudos to Dean. Entertaining segment, without a doubt.
And next week on Pipebomb Radio, we'll be joined by Waylon Mercy. And if you want more details on this and details on just listening to all the past episodes of Pipebomb Radio, in 2015 we're setting our sights and we're going to be everywhere you can think of. We're right now in the process of making a Stitcher, which Elio, Two Winds Canella is setting up right now and making it in fruition, happening right now. But pipebombradio.net and it has all the past episodes of Pipebomb Radio and Mineral Mission, Not Your Mommy's radio show on Thursday nights. And who's actually having David Hero on this Thursday night. And also past episodes of Pro Wrestling Historical Society. And people have been asking me, the whole situation, why haven't they been on? It's actually, some down the line, it's ProWrestlingHistoricalSociety.com. Keep up with it in that way, for right now.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard they were working on creating their own podcast. Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. And because they want to go they're kind of their own separate way. And because they have their website, ProWrestlingHistoricalSociety.com, where you can check some of the articles I did on there. It's about, I have a few about Antonio Roca and Eduardo Carpentier, as well as the May Spells Pipebomb Radio former guest Jake Shannon. But PWHS is something I'm really proud to be a part of, and those shows, and you can attest to this. You were part of each one. Those shows are unlike anything you listen to, because Greg Skelly, Jimmy Wheeler, Terry Kent know what they're talking about in every single aspect of the imagination. Those guys are awesome, and they have their Facebook page, Pro Wrestling Historical Society. And you can check that out all day. People are so, those fans on there, those people participating, they help each other out in various situations when somebody needs some information. It's like an encyclopedia on there. One of the most useful groups out there.
Okay. Now that you got all that said and done,
it's the truth.
Well, we will move on to Thursday night. Obviously, as Austin was mentioning, with David Hero, and next week with Danny Spivey. The best is yet to come, folks. As we approach WrestleMania, we actually are in WrestleMania season, not approaching it.
The fast one.
I know after WrestleMania, let's just say we've got, if things work out pretty well, I've got some guests lined up after WrestleMania season. Hopefully it works out as planned, but in the meantime,
it's funny.
Anything else we need to mention? Any final words?
I'm going to say it. I'm going to mention something. You say after WrestleMania, you're going to eat a lot of words, and like my good friend Jerry Lawler says, you better make your words soft and sweet, or you may have to eat them later.
Well, I'll believe that when I see it, but in the meantime, if there's nothing further, on behalf of Austin, the missing Nate, and myself, Felix, we will go ahead and call it a close for tonight. We thank our guest, Jason the Gift Kincaid, for enlightening us tonight with a great conversation, telling us a little bit more about who he is, and so forth. We will go ahead and close. I will say keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Good night, everybody. Good night, Austin.